The terrifying paradox of self-awareness.
And you notice something's off. It sounds a bit too
Never started
eager.
it.
Picture this, if you will. You're about to send a text message. You read it for one final check, and you notice something's off. It sounds a bit too eager. So you rewrite it, but, well, now it feels forced. So you try a few more times, and before you know it, it's been over an hour.
And then the text is completely different as well. Actually, so, like, dude, I've said...
Your text is still unsent. This is what it's like living with a high level of self-awareness.
Was that self-awareness or, like, being self-conscious, though? Because I feel like self-awareness... Like, there's a difference, like, between being self-aware and self-conscious. Like, self-conscious will make you not send the text because you're thinking about what other people would think about you if you do send a text, but it did, like... I don't know if that's self-awareness. I mean, it probably... Do you think it, like, falls under the same, like, umbrella? Because, like, self-awareness is, like, you understand, like, who you want to be and, like, what's going on internally, not... Maybe it is the same thing.
We are told that being self-aware is necessary to live a life of authenticity, yet the more you know about yourself, the less about yourself you realize you know. In the words of ancient Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi, once I dreamt I was a butterfly, fluttering here and there. Suddenly, I woke up and I was Zhuangzi again. But I don't know. Am I Zhuangzi who dreamt I was a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming I'm Zhuangzi?
You're a person, bro. You're a person. You had a dream. Uh, I mean, yeah, he's trying to be oh my God, philosophical about it. I mean, that's a really weird take. That is a really weird fucking take.
This is the terrifying paradox of self-awareness, the moment we begin to ask, who am I really? We
No, that's the real question.
split into two. In that instant, we become two different people, the one who asks and the one who's being questioned. And if finding yourself requires watching yourself, are you really discovering who you are, or are you performing for an audience of one?
Yes, like performative people, bro. Oh my gosh. And bro, if you guys are here for my TikToks, bro, talking about I talked about what it means to be yourself, bro. You have to find yourself. Like genuinely, I feel like it's such a waste of like in the human experience to not know who you are, who you want to be. Like you should be living your life, doing activities, putting yourself out there, going out of your comfort zone, trying to figure out who you want to be and what you want to do, and following and pursuing that with all your being. And whether that makes it a paradox or not, I don't know, man. I don't know if it makes it a paradox or what. You know, at the end of the day, you need to be yourself, and you need to be true to that. Don't let other people. People are gonna judge no matter what. People are always gonna judge. Just be you. Like, and yeah, I get clowned for that video because it sounds corny saying be you, but people really need to hear it. And the people who are clowning you for not being yourself or clowning me for saying to other people to be you, you're a fucking loser, dude. You're a fucking loser. You're a loser. You don't have enough. You're not conscious enough to take a step back and realize you're not who you want to be. If you're making fun of other people actively, you're a fucking loser.
In quantum mechanics, observing a particle changes its behavior.
Whoa, what are we talking about? We're talking about self-awareness right now, not quantum mechanics.
So a photon is normally in superposition, meaning that it appears to be in both point A and point B at once. However, once you observe it, it collapses into a single position of either A or B. As an oversimplification, you could say that the photon doesn't want to stay in one measurable state. Superposition is more or less its normal way of being. The same thing happens
To be unobserved? Is this kind of like that theory with the cat, like the unobserved cat? It's like if you put a cat in a box but you don't observe it, is the cat really there? Or the tree, or the one with like the tree fall one, where it's like did the tree really fall if you never saw it fall?
happens with human consciousness. In our default state, we exist in superposition, both as the observer and the person. But the moment you become self-aware, you effectively split into two people. One is the actor, aka the one being observed, while the other is the critic, or the one doing the observing. Therein lies the paradox. Self-awareness indirectly feels like a performance between an actor and critic, and less like a whole person reflecting naturally. It happens so unexpectedly that you don't fully acknowledge when your mind is in this mode.
So like for instance, you like had an ideal version of who you want to be, but the ideal version of who you want to be is perceived through the lens of other people. Like, all right, I don't know how to explain it like correctly, but like, let's say like you want like a certain lifestyle that other people like, and then you try to make that your lifestyle because you think other people like that lifestyle. So then you trick your mind into thinking that you're being true to yourself, but in reality, you're being true to the yourself that you want other people to perceive you as. Oh, now we're talking.
Have you ever had a moment where the music just, it hits just right, you know? And your body responds to the beat, and suddenly, all by yourself, you're just enjoying a spontaneous experience that you weren't looking for, and then it happens. Physically, you're still the only one in the room, but mentally, as soon as you lock eyes with yourself in the mirror, the critic lets itself in. You become self-conscious and start wishing that you did.
See, but now we're talking about self-consciousness. I don't think it's the same thing as being a self-aware. Like, there's so many different versions of being like aware of like self-awareness can come in so many different forms. It's like I feel like being self-conscious, and like some people are self-conscious in good ways, and some people are self-conscious in bad ways. Like, I don't know if that's like a good, like a good. I don't know if that's a paradox. Like, I think the paradox is what I just mentioned. I don't think it's like I don't know.
Danced a little better. You had more rhythm. You looked more graceful. You remember the last time you watched someone hit those moves and how much better they looked. You wonder when you'll be able to dance that well, and slowly you lose the beat. Your movements become stiff with self-doubt. The critic takes over completely and you stop dancing. With self-awareness, you can't have everything all together at once. You can either know what you're doing or why you are doing it, but observing one changes the other. The you who acts naturally and the you who understands yourself cannot exist simultaneously. They can come close enough in terms of when
You think like kind of like flow state in a way, because flow state is like the state of being like something is so it's so difficult but so easy, or like so you're so into it that it has a level of difficulty that your mind like you lose track of everything, and you don't even think about, because you don't even have time to think about who you are, who you want to be, or what you want to do in life. You're focusing on in the moment, spontaneous of what you're doing at this very moment. Is that what he's trying to talk about? As if that's the close it because it only lasts for a certain amount of time. I think that's why he's saying that it can't be like constant. Because I feel like some people I know are very true to themselves, but not. Oh, me. Well, I can't live. I don't live with someone all the time, so I wouldn't know if they're being true to themselves all the time. Yeah, it's a really good question.
either version of you pops out, but they cannot be together at the exact same time. Picture yourself on a date. You finally found
Date? Nah, nah, man. You're observing too high of me, bro. You observed wrong.
someone with a sense of humor where you don't need to constantly hold yourself back or filter your words. Instead, conversations feel natural as words spill out of your mouth. The moment you think to yourself, well, hey, this is going well, you're suddenly thrown into performance.
It all goes wrong. It all goes fucking wrong. The moment you mention anything to anyone, bro, if you have anything that you're cooking up, the moment you tell anyone, that shit's already over, bro. Throw it away. Throw it away, or lock it again, because it's all gonna go fucking downhill, bro. I have so many things that I've done that I've worked on and that I'm like proud of, and then I'd go to show it, and then it instantly fucking fail, like instantly.
Mode. As you begin to poke at your behavior to understand what's making the date so good, you may lose grasp of the part of yourself that was just being you. After a while, you might start to wonder, what gives? Here's the unspoken part. You know how we mentioned the actor and the critic? Well, the truth is, while these roles feel necessary within your psyche, Neither of them are your authentic self. Self-awareness doesn't even highlight an authentic self to begin with. Instead, it creates a new, observed self that is fundamentally different from your authentic self.
So are we like separating the like your internal thoughts from the person who's outwardly speaking?
Building something great takes more work than anyone realizes. Writing the
What is memory? By default, we picture memory as recollections of past events. But neuroscience has a tiny yet redefining caveat to what we call our memories. You see, every time you recall a memory, you're not just accessing a file, you're rewriting it. The act of remembering can and often does change the memory.
Dude, especially if it's older. Like the older the memory, the more it's gonna change, unless it's like has such like a strong connection that you keep on remembering it over and over again, so you know all these like unique details, or you just remember some random shit, like things that are like for so long ago that you remember. Like it's so fucked because half of those things probably didn't fucking happen. Like your memory's probably so fucked. Like what's real?
Scientists call it memory reconsolidation. So the past as we know it, something set in stone, well, in reality it's always being slightly modified to fit the current narrative that we tell ourselves about the world. Researchers at the University of Texas actually tried to observe this effect, and what they found is that we have a malleable window, which is essentially a few hours where a recalled memory is vulnerable to being updated, strengthened, or even distorted by your current emotions or your environment. Here's what that means for your self-awareness. You know how self-help encourages you to confront past memories to understand them better? Well, that's a good thing. But sometimes when you analyze your past to understand yourself, you're not actually discovering who you were.
You're discovering who you wanted to be in the moment, in the heat of the moment, in the emotions that you were feeling. You allocated that memory to such a strong feeling that may not have been real, that you were just feeling in the moment, therefore altering the trajectory of your life. Especially if you're at like a therapist. I mean, I think you should go to therapy if you need it. But you're obviously, if you're at a therapist for this and you bring up that memory, it's probably severely changed because it's probably very emotional to you. And the saddest part is you'll never know what really happened unless you ask someone else. That's also being that, and if you ask someone else what happened, they're gonna have their own point of view that was changed by their own emotions of the time. So basically, there is no way to tell what actually happened in a memory unless you had it on a video.
Instead, you're only creating a narrative that overwrites your original experience. And this effect can be especially dangerous in our current era, where therapy speak is more popular than ever. Today, many people assign clinical terms to events that they never truly experienced as traumatic. But because of the present story they tell
Oh
themselves,
yeah, people be spamming trauma, bro. They would literally, dude. Everyone said, bro. Oh my god, don't get me into it, bro. Some of the smallest shit in the fucking world, people wish they had trauma, bro. Dude, people, um, bro. People would go to Walmart when an item wouldn't be there, and they genuinely later would recall it in a story and say yeah, this shit was traumatizing. They didn't have my item. I had to go home without it. I had to go home without the item. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
about that event, they unknowingly adjust those memories to fit into the boxes of trauma, which then affects what they believe about themselves. Take a moment and think about your first heartbreak. Back then, all you likely knew was that it really hurt to lose someone you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life with. However, as time passes, you learn more about relationships and how they work psychologically. With new knowledge on attachment theory,
You just force them to be with you. You don't let them go. They never leave.
you give the memories of your first heartbreak another go. This time through the lens of what attachment styles each person had. Now you've learned that she was likely avoidant while you were anxious. So your anxious attempts to get closer to her ended up pushing her away due to her fear of eventually being abandoned. And all of it suddenly feels resolved. Now, months down the line, you learn about...
You love months down the line, you think about it, and you just realize you're a fucking cornball. You just realize you're a fucking cornball loser. I'm chasing someone who didn't want you. Holy shit. Could get any more real.
Feminism. Not just
What?
the definition, but its real meaning. You embrace it in a way that has you acknowledging its impact across various aspects of society. It feels revealing to uncover just how important it is for women to actually have a proper say in the way their life plays out. So then you revisit the memory of your first heartbreak.
Wait,
This
what?
time, the
What are we talking about?
feminism lens uncovers something that you never really understood before. At the time, you were more focused on keeping the relationship alive, so you downplayed her interest in a study abroad program, believing that it wasn't worth the distance. Well, now you...
Okay, but you should never, like, put down someone. Yo, if you're doing that, the relationship was never gonna fucking work in the first place. If you're trying to dictate someone's education, it's over for you, bro. Who are you feeling like? Like, oh my god, don't ever do that. How to lose a girlfriend 101.
You've learned that you might have been tying her down, and that could also work as a reason for the breakup. The problem is the fact that your past self didn't have your present self's awareness. You're inevitably studying someone who doesn't exist anymore, using tools that they didn't have. At the time, you were only reacting with the understanding that you had. Later, a more wise version of you steps in and rewrites the meaning. You lose...
That one, That's like an ideal scenario, though. A more wise version of you. Some people deadass get stupider over time. like some people don't fucking mature at all. Like they would go back to the same thing with like an even dumber outlook than they did before.
touch with what losing your first love felt like and exchanging it with a new meaning now. But pain, grief, or fear isn't something that should be constantly assigned with specific responses. Your first heartbreak doesn't need to find its reason in attachment styles or a younger version of you being anti-feminist. Instead,
What are we talking about right now? What is this feminist shit, bro? How does this have anything to do with consciousness?
you took that loss for reasons you may never truly understand. It's
You just took the loss because she didn't want you. What does this have to do with anything?
entirely possible that she found someone else, or her parents disapproved of the relationship, or any other reason another human being can have behind their own decisions. You don't need to justify your pain with labels. Self-awareness feels a lot like a hall of mirrors. At first, life
Oh
is
my
just
God, water
feeling
felt
like
good.
something is missing. But as you get into self-awareness, new mirrors start to appear in your mind. Initially, these mirrors allow you to see yourself more clearly and from a variety of angles.
No, so, but, like mirrors that like it shows so more clearly. I feel it's just like I was saying before, just being able to see like what you want to be. Like so many people don't take the time to go do activities and do things that push them out of their comfort zone to figure out who in life they want to be and what they want to accomplish. And more people I think are getting into that, but a lot more people need to start getting into it because it's truly life changing. Everyone should do it. Everyone should go through it. If you haven't gone through an ego death, I'm not saying you should get into like a traumatic event or anything like that, but I do think it's a very important and good thing that someone should go through in their life to figure out who they actually want to be. Break the ego. Break the ego's like the wall that's blocking you from being who you want to be, because a person with ego isn't going to have twice the personality that someone that doesn't have ego. But a little bit of ego is good.
However, the intention was always to move past the mirrors to get to the other side. Here's the twist, though. Once your mind is in too deep with self-awareness, you find yourself thrown into a loop of infinite mirrors, and the exit doesn't seem to move any closer to you. At level 1 of this self-awareness loop, you make the first realization that says, "Oh, I'm anxious." Level 2 then introduces the inner actor that asks, "Well, okay, why am I anxious?" The inner critic then responds, "Well, I'm analyzing my anxiety and I'll figure that out." Level 3 then emerges, and you ask yourself again, wait, am I making my anxiety worse by analyzing it? And you reflect on
Overthinking.
that for a while.
Overthinking final boss.
And then you realize that now you're overthinking. However, you've already caught yourself in the loop, so you can't pull back now. Level 4 is when your mind doubles down even further, saying, okay, I'm overthinking, but am I overthinking my overthinking? And then level 5 hits.
You gotta be a bot if you think like this. You actually can't be a real fucking human.
That's when it gets even more absurd, and you finally spiral. Well, now I'm overthinking about my overthinking about my overthinking, and so on. This is what the authenticity spiral looks like.
And that's when you pop a meth. That's when you pop an edible. And you fucking lose it.
In this mode, you endlessly shift between thoughts
Or gamble. That's when you gamble. That's when you. This is the exact moment in your life where you put it all in red.
about every little aspect of your behavior. Everything you do feels performative, and nothing ever feels authentic.
What do you
Any
mean?
attempt to pull away
What do you
and
mean
act
my
normal
mantra?
only loudly
My mantra is not performative. I love mantra. I'm reading feminist books.
gets criticized by the inner critic, who calls other aspects of yourself an actor. With meditation, it gets paradoxical. You sit down to observe your thoughts, but who's observing those thoughts? Now, instead of meditating, you're thinking about watching your thoughts about watching your thoughts. Well, what about journaling? Initially, you say that you're going to write to process your feelings, but you inevitably start writing for a future version of yourself who will read this journal. So you're no longer processing those feelings, but instead you're curating them for
You're like writing in your journal in a way that like makes your future self. I think it depends on the person though. Like, would you like write in a journal and make your future self feel better or good or like kind of neutral? Like, are you really putting your full into the journal? Like, I feel like when I had a journal, I would just put like the highlights of the day. Like, I could probably have a terrible day and it would never end up in my journal. It would just be like highlights. I don't think it's a good. I mean, if you're doing it true to yourself, then I think a journal is pretty good.
future observer. The cruel irony of all of this is that the people who are most committed to self-awareness usually become the biggest victims of its darker consequences. They never actually get to enjoy any direct experiences because they are always at least one level away from being a single person with a single mind. Think about the most charismatic person you knew growing up. And I don't mean the one that aligned with your values, I mean the one that always seemed to get away with everything. If you're the type who grew up a quiet kid, the person that comes to mind is probably someone you didn't get along with very much. Perhaps they'd crack jokes loudly while the teacher was trying to move a lesson along, or they'd manage to ease their way out of trouble just by being funny. Somehow, it doesn't feel like they were particularly efficient at anything. Yet, their personality always got them by in life. Meanwhile, you felt like you had to work twice as hard only to get a pat on the back. People with zero self-awareness appear more confident, authentic, and charismatic.
Because they're shells of humans, bro. They're not real people. Like, genuinely, they have no inner thinking, no deep thoughts. They go home, they reboot. No, they go home and they plug their fucking power cord into the side of their head. They lay down in their bed and they wait until the morning to wake up. Genuinely, if you don't have the mental capacity to look at a video or look at a live stream or look at a deep video and take notes and thoughts on that video, you are a robot and uninteresting as fuck. You're no better than a fucking AI, bro. If you can't genuinely have a conversation about anything deep and meaningful, you're a fucking loser.
For one reason only. They are not watching themselves. That way, they always seem to go according to life's tempo, no matter the situation. Spontaneity isn't just a quirky
Spontaneous. I thought it was spontaneous.
personality trait. Sometimes it could mean the difference between a fulfilling life and one that never truly feels satisfying.
Okay, but there's a difference between people who are spontaneous and a difference between people who like need spontaneousness. You know what I mean?
When you're constantly monitoring everything and never going with the flow, you get tired of your own mind's constant spirals. You're like an animal on a leash, only that you're also the one holding that leash. You might have heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Never.
It's that thing where people with limited knowledge or competence in a domain overestimate their abilities without realizing that they were never that good in the first place.
I hate these type of people. I hate these type of people, bro. I like gotta use some of the most useless people in the world.
Lots of incompetent people think they are competent, and sometimes that actually helps. Just the conviction of knowing what you're doing can take you quite far in life. But there is a flip side to the Dunning-Kruger effect, and that's when competent people become paralyzed by the awareness of their own limitations.
No,
And that is the subtle
I
way.
know that has to suck. Cause like, and I get this for like, when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about when I was trying to like develop Roblox games and shit like that. Like I know that I could do it, but then I think about all the things that had to come in place in order to do it. Actually, fuck all that Roblox shit. Let's take it into a higher level. Making money in life. I know that I want to make money. I need to make money, and I know all the steps to get there. But I have like I'm not saying I have zero confidence because obviously I'm gonna get there, but it takes time to get to each level, and it takes more and more time. The more dangerous or the more deep or the more like outgoing I need to be to get to these certain levels, and it sucks. It really fucking sucks. But you just got to keep pushing forward. Like I said before, keep pushing forward to be your ideal self every fucking day.
That self-awareness slows you down. First, you feel something, and instead of acting, you analyze that feeling. After that, you decide whether or not what you're feeling is appropriate, and then you finally choose a response. Depending on what you were thinking about, you could go from a few minutes to make a choice to a few decades. Yeah, I'm not kidding on that one.
If you're taking a decade and make a choice on something, you probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't be the one making the choice.
There are people out there who simply acted on seemingly absurd thoughts, and that got them to where they wanted to be in life almost instantly. Meanwhile, there are others who felt like what would seem too absurd to take action, so they spent decades in regret only to realize many years later that they could have made a move. Imagine you're at a networking event and you're watching a brilliant presentation by a keynote speaker when you're struck by a crazy thought. I have experience with this exact thing, and I should just go and introduce myself. Well, you freeze and you begin to craft the ideal introduction, expecting the right moment to align for the speaker to be alone. The presentation is over now, and the speaker is swarmed by tons of people. You decide that it's not worth the stress, and so you move on. Meanwhile, at that same presentation, someone else in the audience thinks it'll be cool if they could connect with the speaker too. In order to leave an impression, they don't think twice, and they clumsily ask a question. The speaker answers, asks for their name, and thanks them for the question. In your head, you're thinking, well, that was a dumb question. And while, yes, you might be right about that, this other person's interaction meant that when they go on to introduce themselves to the speaker after they talk, they can recognize them and then they exchange contact information. Now, life isn't always going to play out in these ideal ways just because you're confident. Truthfully, it's possible for the speaker to simply roll their eyes and ignore the person's question. The paradox is this. Life is a lot like a dance performance. A person free from self-surveillance may stumble, but they keep moving to life's tempo. Meanwhile, the hyper-aware person who obsessively plans each step will often find that the music is stopped by the time that they've decided to dance. Something strange happens when you're too busy naming everything you encounter, viewing life through a lens, and never experiencing life with your own naked eyes. Soon enough, you'll only give yourself permission to exist when there's an appropriate label for every action or inaction. Your journey into self-awareness might have begun because you constantly felt uncomfortable, but you never quite understood what it meant. Then you learned about anxiety, studied how it manifests, and now you've realized that it's a core part of your struggle. But instead of growing beyond anxiety's limitations, you use it as a crutch. Because you identify as someone with anxiety, every nervous feeling confirms that narrative for you. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that's hard to spot and even harder to break away from. As humans, we crave a coherent narrative for our lives. So attaching a label helps create a consistent story that you can tell yourself. This story begins to leak into aspects of your life that you never could have imagined. When you get invited to social events you might have enjoyed, you decide to skip them entirely because you believe the umbrella term of anxiety exempts you from ever appreciating anything outside. It's not just with anxiety that this happens. You could even associate your identity with trauma. While that makes for a valid reason for life to slow down, there are
That's okay. It's kind of valid. Like a lot of self-change, self-reflection is brought upon by trauma. Yeah, I never really thought about it like that.
people who never truly manage to move past the role of a trauma survivor. Tragically, their pain becomes their entire persona, and that could alienate them from people and places, further reinforcing the impacts of their trauma. Sometimes, moments that may have opened up your mind to new experiences get abandoned because of narratives in your head. Okay, for instance, say you've failed at math a few too many times in high school.
Every time.
Now that you're older, you decide that you're not a math person, so you stop trying and you completely close your mind off from the different branches of math that exist, where there could have been a few things that you might have actually enjoyed. The problem with subscribing to the idea of a single permanent narrative is that humans are a highly fluid group. Who you were a year ago can greatly differ from who you are today at this very moment. Likewise, who you were at college differs from who you are in the workforce. Carrying ideas of your identity from self-awareness alone into the life you're attempting to create only holds you back. If your identity is resistant to change, you might be too attached to the self you know, preventing you from engaging with the unknown. Self-awareness does this thing where you feel really good that you're learning new things. It overloads you with information about how your mind works, what triggers it, and how you can solve your problems. But it's a lot like learning stuff online. With all the resources and tutorials available, you get so distracted by the fancy theory and lessons available that when the time to put in actual...
It's getting high on the thought. It's getting high on the thought of doing something. And I feel like a lot of people go through that. Like you see a lot of people who have really ambitious goals, really ambitious dreams, and they get high on the thought of doing those dreams, but they never take a step forward into doing them. And I think that's what separates the doers and not doers. I don't know a better way to say it, but that's what really separates it. Being able to think of an idea that you want to do and getting out there and doing that idea, putting everything towards that idea. Try not to make it your whole life, but if you really want to do it, do it. You need to be able to put your mind to something that you really want to do. And I understand that some people have ADHD, other things that require them have deficiencies in thinking that make them not be able to do certain things. I understand that. But if you truly want to do something, there should be nothing stopping you from doing it. If you have ADHD and you want to do something, and then you stop doing it, that doesn't mean you don't want to do it. That means you need to get your ass back on track and keep moving forward. Keep moving forward, no matter what. If you really want it, it'll happen.
Work comes, you defer it with claims that you're just trying to find the perfect tutorial, a magical answer that can solve all of your problems and give you the skills that you're searching for. The hard truth that self-awareness hides from us is this. Some people would rather stay miserable in a story that makes sense to them than be happy in a way that contradicts what they believe to be true about themselves. Instead of a path towards a better life, they end up finding the perfect excuse for never moving forward. So, with that in mind, here's an uncomfortable question to ask yourself. Who benefits from your self-awareness? When you're up at...
Who benefits from my self-awareness? I think... Alright, let's really think about this question. Who benefits from my self-awareness? Well, I think at the very forefront, I benefit from my own self-awareness. But that kind of feeds into his own, paradox that he's talking about. So if we're going second off of that, I'd say anyone that's close to me or knows me or has any interaction with me, I am way more outgoing. And I'd like to have a talk with them about anything deep, philosophical, or anything close that they need help with. or don't need help with, or they're interested in a topic, I'm down to talk about that topic indefinitely, or not indefinitely, but in length. I think that's really a real game changer in my life personally. I don't know about y'all's, but I feel like the ability to listen to someone else's problems and activities or interests and be able to sit down and have a conversation with them about said interests in a deep level or a connecting level, that is truly amazing in my eyes.
3 a.m., replaying conversations, correcting your appearance, and beating yourself up for not fitting in. Someone out there is smiling, and I'm going to take a guess that that person isn't you. Living in a capitalistic system, there is no denying that your self-consciousness is a huge source of income to advertisers. If you spend any significant amount of time on the internet, you must have seen
all the big corporations taking your data like your fucking cattle.
Advertisers are spending tons of money to constantly remind you of your shortcomings. Your face, well, it's not pretty enough. Buy this new makeup kit, though, that'll help. Your 3-year-old car is too old and rickety. Spend half your income paying this outrageous monthly car payment. Move out of your parents' house straight into a fancy luxury apartment. You're constantly being sold solutions to artificial problems. So of course you feel inadequate when you're not able to match a bunch of people that buy into the game of capitalism. Today, the self-improvement industry doesn't just sell anti-aging cream, it sells you something even harder to commodify, and that is your own potential. Coaching courses, blueprints, consulting, frameworks to model your personality around, they all promise to deliver the best version of you, a you that finally feels whole. But that version of you can never exist if you don't learn to accept yourself as a person, not just as a concept of a person. Obscuring your own emotions with fancy terms does not help you grow any faster than someone with zero self-awareness. It only makes you feel better mentally, but not emotionally. When the self-improvement industry tries to make you perpetually aware...
And the looks maxers. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god, I hate them all, bro. I hate them all. Oh my gosh. Yeah, people who deadass take look maxing seriously. Like, I understand. No, like, I have like two sides of the fucking coin here. I understand where they're coming from. Yes, if you look good, things are going to be easier in life, but that is not end game, bro. If you are good looking and you get into a relationship, whether that be with a girl, partnership, with business, anything, if you get into that type of relationship based off of your looks and you are dull as a human, or you're just a terrible person, it's fries for you, bro. It's actually fries. They're not gonna stay long enough for you to get any significant value out of it. And maybe with a girl, you might be, if you're a douchebag and you're only in it to hook up, maybe you'll get something out of it. Then again, if that's what you want out of it, you're a douchebag. End of story. Please seek help. Get better. Anyways, back to the video.
Aware of your inadequacy, they do that because they know that satisfaction would be bad for business. Environments are designed to nudge you towards certain types of decisions. You're not anxious because you're self-aware. No, it's not that simple. You're self-aware because anxiety is profitable. The default state of inadequacy is a part of choice architecture. Everyone feels it in one way or another. You'll rarely find a truly satisfied person in our digital age. Problem to solution pipelines exist for the strangest things when you think about it critically. The process of self-improvement is ridiculously gamified nowadays, and don't get me wrong. To-do apps and journaling apps are great, but does your mental health really demand a monthly subscription for you to love yourself more?
Hell no, just dude, write that shit down on a piece of paper, bro. Wake up and write that shit down on a piece of paper. You do not need to be spending money on any of these fucking apps to do any of that. But you have a notes app on your phone. Oh my god. Like, what are you paying for right now? And the aesthetic? Bro, get over yourself. Get over yourself. You're making a fucking note for yourself. Actually, like, if you're making a note for yourself on a paid app subscription, what are we doing? We've lost a fucking lot.
Really? Is the answer to your struggles growing a paid journaling app's digital pet on your screen? And sure, look, it sounds harsh for me to point this out, especially since it actually does help some.
You need to be harsh, bro. You need to be harsh nowadays. People are not going to take what you say seriously if you're not being harsh and straight to the point, because people's attention spans are rotted to the fucking ground. To the ground. They can't take anything fucking serious. They can't watch anything long. We're fucked.
People out. But the truth is that our environments created these problems in the first place, and then they turn around to sell expensive solutions to us. And all of this, everything that I've said so far, none of this means that self-awareness is bad or that growth is impossible. It just means that we need to be a lot more careful about the content that we consume on our journey towards improvement. So perhaps the first truly self-aware action to take isn't to analyze yourself more deeply, but rather it's to recognize who benefits from your analysis. Once you realize that, you can choose to refuse the transaction. That realization isn't something completely new. In fact, history shows that ideas of the self vary across cultures. In some places, the self is merely a distraction, not worth pursuing. When we think of Western civilization and her ideals, the earliest philosophers often come to mind. Figures like Socrates have played no small part in shaping society's core ideas. He promoted the belief that there is a real you buried somewhere underneath everything that the world assumes, and your job is to find it, to know yourself, and to be authentic. Was he right? Is our goal in life to know thyself and uncover our truth?
Dude, I feel like it is. Like, is that I don't know if that's like a bad dick or not. I don't know what this guy means by that, but I feel like it's exactly what you should be doing. I mean, why would you not want to? I mean, unless he's saying like it's like incredibly hard to, because you're always changing and your ideals of who you want to be is always changing. That's great. That's great and all. There's probably not one definitive fucking version of you. You are ever changing always based off of interactions in your life, environments in your life, people in your life. You're always your ideal self is always going to be changing. But the idea is to change with it. Like, imagine there's a line. Imagine there's a line with a dot attached to it, and there's a dot behind it. And this is you, and this is your ideal self. And it's going like this. Follow that fucking dot. You should be constantly changing into your ideal self as you're moving. As you're moving, you should constantly be, as it changes in real time, you should be adapting to that. Don't wait. Don't wait, because that's how you create a gap, and that's why you have to try to find yourself again. That's why people go on like these whole self-awareness journeys, because they're not following who they want to be in the moment, because they're waiting for the perfect outcome, like he said in the W video.
If so, did our world evolve from this mentality? After all, therapy is not
No, we're devolving as we speak.
Exactly new, and the people that shaped it were not perfect. Sigmund Freud is often credited as the father of psychoanalysis and a key figure that helped in shaping modern clinical psychology, and yet he's the same person that introduced the concept of penis envy in young girls. Meanwhile, Socrates, in all his wisdom, claimed to have a link to the divine which guided him as a private inner voice that no one...
They were bugging back then, bro. Because what it was, they literally had they're just rich people who had a lot of fucking time on their hand. A lot of fucking time.
else could hear. Now, it might seem odd for me to point these things out about Western philosophy's biggest icons, but it does reveal a crack in our understanding. Western therapy developed itself from a place that says find yourself, from people who never quite had a final answer for what a self even meant. None of this means that Western philosophy is worthless, but it does raise some questions. What if the idea of finding yourself is built on an assumption that isn't, in fact, universal? Eastern philosophy started from a different place. Therefore, it may hold the potential answers to issues that exist with self-awareness. So, the big reveal with Eastern philosophy is... nothing.
Like what? What does that fucking mean?
The self...
like nihilism? Or stoicism? Wow.
is an illusion and should be dissolved. In Buddhism...
like Nirvana. Like Nirvana. Not the band. The state of mind.
This concept is called anatta, or no
I was fucking wrong.
self. It doesn't mean you don't exist, you do, but rather Eastern philosophy doesn't pressure you to search harder, nor does it worry that you haven't found your authentic self yet. Instead, it presents a different way of thinking, one that rejects the idea of a permanent, unchanging you. You're not a statue waiting to be uncovered, you're more like a river, different from moment to moment, but possessing one name. This, in turn, reframes everything that we think we know. The West's search for meaning is much harder to justify today. Even mindfulness from the East has been rebranded into something that helps in our search for the self. Because of that, it's become a billion-dollar industry. Meanwhile, the version of mindfulness taught in Buddhism and other Eastern practices is not about how it leads to more material wealth. That's not why.
Okay, but does this mean like he's probably gonna get into it? But is he talking about like how you don't need to find yourself right now and because you're gonna reincarnate? Because I feel like that's so biased. Like, oh my gosh, like because no one knows, bro. You don't know which religion's real, if any are real. You can't base like a philosophy based off of like Buddhism or anything like that that has anything to do with reincarnation. Like by saying you have time because you're reincarnate, or you would reincarnate into a different person. It's like who are you trying? Are you trying to find your original? Like I'm sure I'm like fucking wrong as hell right now, but right now this just makes no fucking sense.
Meditation is encouraged. The real purpose of meditating is not to create a calmer self, it's to realize that there is no self to calm. We are one with everyone and everything around us, a part of some greater whole. Yet, we turned a liberation practice into a tool for self-improvement. The Taoist philosopher Zhuangzi takes us even further. He didn't just point out that the self is an illusion, he actually said that the search for truth can become another cage.
That's actually true. Oh, that's actually true. No, he was cooking. He was cooking back then. The search for the truth can become another cage because you're so like into. Oh my god! No, he just read me like a book. Oh nah, because I was just talking about you should live your entire life looking for yourself. Oh my god. So is there like a point you should stop? But I feel like that's such a good mentality. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Dude, that's crazy. Because then it'd be a kid. Oh my gosh. Dude, it is a paradox. Oh my lord.
Pondering on
Who
whether
would have guessed the title's right? It's not clickbait.
only dreamed he was a butterfly, or if he's a
He was still tripping though. What the fuck is he talking about a dream and a butterfly? This guy was off his rockers.
butterfly dreaming he's Zhuangzi makes for a hilarious yet deep thought. You see, Zhuangzi himself didn't have an answer to this dream, and that was the point. Western philosophy demands, it screams for certainty, but Buddhism offers liberation through insight. Zhuangzi's answer is a shrug, not an arrogant or a
Just a I don't know. That's he's low-key him for that. I don't know what life is, but it is what it is. Give it a little shrug. You're him. You're him, bro.
shrug, but a relieving one. He invites us to see that our desperation to cling to an idea of who you really are is simply another form of attachment. The self isn't solid, so trying to search for it is futile. Memory corruption, our performance of privacy. These aren't universal problems. Instead, they are symptoms of a culture that believes in a solid, findable self. If you don't believe in that concept to begin with, well, you won't feel as lost constantly. And
that's actually valid, though. Dude, that kind of looks like makes me like rethink some things. Like, but that's like so weird because like I feel like in order to think about it, you need something tangible to think about in the first place. Dude, maybe I haven't reached Nirvana yet. You think? You think I haven't reached Nirvana yet? I need to keep looking.
yeah, it's humbling to accept this idea, especially when
Really
you're
is.
so attached to all that you already are and the idea of who you could be. But the truth
Get me
is,
into Nirvana.
if you're both the dreamer and the butterfly, well, why bother thinking about which one is the real you? Forgetting. Now, I'm not saying you should forget everything you know and go become a Buddhist. There is
I'm saying that. Everyone in chat, drop everything and go be a Buddhist monk right now. Drop chat, drop everyone that's watching. Stop watching, book your flight, and become a Buddhist monk. And then start rewatching again after you've reached nirvana. I don't want it any other way.
a value in both Western and Eastern philosophies. The real issue with self-awareness is that when it's all you ever think about, it becomes paradoxical. Observation changes what is being observed, and therefore you never truly get anything you were searching for in the first place. The truly terrifying aspect of self-awareness is this: the only way to find yourself is to lose yourself.
I was just saying that. Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't know if he's meaning it in the same way that I'm meaning it, but I just got done saying that everyone should go through something like bad in their life because it helps you find out who you really are when you're at rock bottom. I don't know if that's what he means by that. He could be saying that maybe to lose yourself by literally being like lost, like you don't know who you are, therefore you forget, therefore you don't know.
So, what we're saying is take risks, act, and learn to live without the constant narration or self-criticism, because the real you isn't the person you see in your reflection. It's the one dancing to the beat of life's drums when you forget to look. If you want to get better at being yourself without the constant self-criticism, one thing that I can't recommend enough is taking learning seriously. When you're
Yes.
consistently upgrading your thinking and expanding your knowledge, you build a
Yes, bro. Listen to videos that engage you. Learn things. Yes, learning in school is boring because you're meant to learn certain things in school that you don't want to learn. Learning outside of school is very important. Don't not learn. If you don't continue to learn across your life, you're gonna be a fucking brick. You're gonna be a brick in life. No one's gonna want to fucking talk to someone who's actually mentally inept. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like if you have physical disability, I mean mental physical disabilities. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people who are literally social bricks and mental bricks who can't think critically about anything ever in their fucking life. Some things require thinking. Learn things that interest you. Learn things that interest you to make other conversation with the people that you are interested in. And yeah, that can be like some form of like self-consciousness because you're talking about learning something for the sake of others, which is kind of bad at some point, if to an extent. But you should want to learn. The knowledge is so powerful, and to have it is like buying a gun without any ammo. Load your gun. Get knowledge that you want. Get knowledge that you need. That's why school exists, to get the knowledge that you need. I mean, I don't know how much in school you really fucking need, but you do need some of what you learn in school. But outside of school, focus on what you want to do. Like I said before, find who you want to be and learn things about it. If you want to be a carpenter, learn about carpentry. If you want to go into trades, go to school for trades. If you want to be a content creator, immerse yourself in content creation and make sure that's something you actually want to do. These are all things that I shouldn't have to say, but I will say because I care about y'all.
quiet confidence. There's a real sense of progress that makes you feel good about who you're becoming. And beyond that, the skills and insights that you pick up can genuinely change your life for the better. That's why I love Brilliant, the sponsor of today's episode. Brilliant makes learning such a
Oh, that was the rest of the video. Okay. W video. Who's this? Aperture. Aperture. Another W video by Aperture. I appreciate you, Aperture. Everyone go subscribe to Aperture, like his video. W video.